Welcome to the Half-Blood Report.
Here we dive deep into recent Demigod news, upcoming Presents books, and all other things Riordan. I'm Samuel, your co-host.
And I'm Diego, your other co-host.
So, let's jump into Demigod news. Hey, this is Samuel in the studio, unfortunately without Diego. And so this episode, we recorded a while back, and then we found out about our interview with Kwame Mimbalia, and that was so much fun. I definitely recommend you listen to it, episode 4. But that got this episode pushed back a week, which meant sort of the news section, which we pre-hand recorded, was out of date and doesn't really apply anymore. So I'm just going to be re-recording a new section, and then you will get to hear Diego again and us talking about our theories for future Rick Riordan Presents books and other stuff. So, some news is the Percy Jackson musical is now on Broadway, The Lightning Thief. I saw it when it wasn't on Broadway, but it was at Queen's Theater, and it was performed there. I saw it. It was pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to see it on Broadway. I feel like I've already gotten the experience, but who knows. But if you didn't get to see it, and you are in the New York City area, then sure, check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. So Tristan Strong is out. It's like bestsellers list all around, so that's great. If you haven't picked up a copy, if you haven't started reading it, what is wrong with you? It's amazing. Start. Diego and I will definitely be discussing it in future episodes. So what else? I guess there's the Trials of Apollo 3-book paperback boxed set, which is just the first 3 books in the series boxed now. I guess it's kind of annoying that they didn't give us the 4th book too, now that it's out and whatnot. There's also a poster inside. I guess it's a nice way to get into the series if you just buy the box set and then buy the Tyrant's Tomb, and then you don't have to buy each book individually. Plus, you get a free poster. But, I've already bought all the books, so then this is annoying that it's like, hey, look, it's a 3-book paper box set. I'm like, but I already own them. And I think that's kind of it news-wise. But anyways, so main takeaways, read Tristan Strong and check out the Lightning Thief Percy Jackson musical. So, yeah.
All right, so I think it's time to consult the Oracle.
As we have said, in this section, we look into and research a future Rick Riordan Presents book.
And this week, we chose to look at The Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. It's a Rick Riordan Presents book coming out in January. Take it away, Sam.
Yeah, so I'll read the description, and then the two of us will be talking about the little bit of research we did and sort of talking about theories for the book. So here is the description. Lately, 7th grader Nizoni Begay has been able to detect monsters like that man in the fancy suit who was at the bleachers at her basketball game. Turns out he's Mr. Charles, her dad's new boss at the oil and gas company, and he's alarmingly interested in Nizoni and her brother, Mac, their Navajo heritage, and the legend of the hero twins. Nizoni knows he's a threat, but her father won't believe her. When Dad disappears the next day, leaving behind a message that says, "Run," the siblings and Nizoni's best friend, Davery, are thrust into a rescue mission that can only be accomplished with the help of Dine Holy people, all disguised as quirky characters. Their aid will come at a price. The kids must pass the series of trials in which it seems like nature itself is out to kill them. If Nizoni, Mac, and Davery can reach the House of the Sun, they will be outfitted with what they need to defeat the ancient monsters Mr. Charles has unleashed. But it will take more than weapons for Nizoni to become the hero she was destined to be. Timeless themes such as importance of family and respect for the land resonate in this funny, fast-paced, and exciting quest adventure set in the American Southwest.
All right, that sounds really interesting, Sam.
Diego, he did some research on the myth of the hero twins. So, Diego, want to tell us what that's all about?
Yeah. So, the hero twins is a myth in which these two twins find out that their father is the sun god and set out to find the Sun Palace and get certain armor and lightning weapons in order to defeat monsters that plague them and their mother. So they face a series of trials just in getting there. But once they show up, the sun god asks for them to prove that it's really like they're really his children, right? So they go through a long series of trials involving like nature and other things of the such, right? However, they had already obtained a special shell that allowed for them to be a lot stronger and a lot less killable than they would have otherwise been. So they passed a series of trials with the help of the Wind Child, which he was kind of Wind's child, so he kind of like whispered advice and things for them to do, and kind of he was really instrumental in this, right? So once they were outfitted with a full flint kit, apparently flint helmets, flint shields, flint knives, flint clubs, a lot of flint things, blue flint, red flint, green flint, yellow flint, all flints.
Red fish, blue fish.
One fish, two fish. But they were also given, importantly, the lightning bolts. Kind of a flashback to Zeus and Jupiter right here. But they were equipped with lightning arrows, and they set out to kill Yatosh. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. But the kind of like monster king / god. And the legend of like the fight with Yatosh kind of says how like a bunch of canyons were created during the fight because of the throwing of flint clubs and flint stones and and flint knives and such. And in the end, Monster Slayer and Water Child, which were the two twins, ended by killing Yatosh, taking out his head, right, with lightning arrows. And basically what happened is that the blood from his head and the blood from his heart, which he had hidden in the dirt so he would be immortal, kind of spilt, creating two massive rivers. And they kind of made sure that he would not come back to life by creating massive gashes in the ground near the rivers. So I'm pretty sure this is kind of like a sort of like Rio Grande myth and a Grand Canyon myth as to like the flint clubs and the gashes and blood rivers. So that was really interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
Went overboard there.
Yeah, that's a lot. So, you mentioned they went to like the sun's house. In the description, it says something about there's gonna be a race to the house of the sun, and the title itself is gonna be Race to the Sun. So the sun is obviously gonna play like a really important role in the story. Since you obviously did a lot more research on this than me, what's your thoughts on that?
So it does say that they are facing trials, trials in which nature itself seems to be fighting them, which is very similar to the legend of the hero twins in Navajo mythology. So yeah, it seems like we might see a kind of repeat of that. As well in the description, it says that they will be outfitted with what they need to defeat the ancient monsters. So that kind of seems like we're going to be seeing a lot of flint wear and flint in general, along with hopefully we might get to see some really cool art with those lightning bolts. That seems really interesting. And on top of that, it also kind of like mentions that there are three characters, Davery's friend. So I assume that Davery in this case will kind of be like the wind child, who's kind of like the smart one that kind of gives them advice, because Nizoni and Mac are Monster Slayer and Water Child. So the third character can there's only like one character really left. So I think we're gonna see Nizoni will either be Monster Slayer or Water Child. If Nizoni is a Monster Slayer, then we're likely to see a more aggressive presence. Versus from Mac, we might see something more tame and plotting. And from Davery, we can expect some kind of a nerd or something along those lines.
Wow. Okay, so you're telling me when the sneak peek comes out sometime early January, and we can read the first chapter, we can see sort of their main character traits. Yeah. If Nizoni starts being like a more aggressive character,
then we're likely to see her as Monster Slayer, and she'll be the one who ends up killing the Mr. Charles.
Well, I hadn't thought of that. Wow, I'm looking forward to see how your theories plays out. Okay, so I did a little bit of research on the Dine holy people, which are mentioned in the description. So basically, Dine just means like the Navajo tribe, just the Navajo people. So basically, they believe that there were two types of people: Earth people, which the Dine people were part of, and then holy people, which is just basically gods. And I'm probably getting some of this wrong, but basically, the holy people taught the Navajo people, also known as the Dine people, how to be one with nature and how to care for the land and sort of, be more environmental than other cultures. And so that's what basically the Dine people believe sets their culture apart from other people in the world, and that they were trained to be good with nature. So, this whole line that you kind of touched on, Diego, about how nature's out to kill them is probably going to be very in cue with the Dine people and how Navajos believed that they were like the best with nature because the gods had taught them how to be good with that.
We also see in the description that it says timeless themes such as importance of the family, which really says things about like the father being the sun god and the twins and the mom and kind of like wind child all being part of this this family. And it also says respect for the land, which I think really resonates with with what Sam said about how they're like well trained in kind of being one with nature. So we should see a lot of cool nature spirits. Maybe some Dyrad lookalikes. Dyrad? I forgot how to pronounce that.
Dine.
No. Dyrad.
Oh, Dryad, you mean?
Dryad lookalikes from the nature spirits. Maybe we'll get a couple junipers in there.
Maybe. Do you think it's time to Odin and Athena?
I think so. All right. So, as we've said in this section, we propose a question related to Riordan to kind of like contemplate.
And what's this week's question, Diego?
What happens after Apollo becomes a god again? Kind of what are we seeing from the rest of Riordan? I mean, he is getting slightly older and a tad bit not lazy, but tired. He has mentioned multiple times that this will be the end of the kind of Percy Jackson character arc. So we should see a great ending from the last one of the Apollo series books. But kind of like what happens after? Are we going to see different things, completely unrelated things, or are we going to see the continuation of Western society? Maybe something even like East. Maybe Western society is moving eastward now. What's going to happen?
So I think I'm gonna like answer this question in two parts. What's gonna happen in universe after Trials of Apollo Book 5, and what's gonna happen what's Uncle Rick gonna write afterwards. So, first part, in universe, I think that's gonna pretty much be the end to the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles. Rick Riordan, he loves to write those books because they make him a lot of money. More so than like his side series on other mythologies. They make him more money because everyone loves to revisit Percy Jackson. But I do think 15 books is really stretching it, and he's probably gonna stop with the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles, maybe like a side book and there, but no more 5-book series. So I think we're pretty much done with Camp Half-Blood Chronicles and in universe. So yeah, I think.
See more Magnus Chase.
Honestly, I don't think we're going to see any more Magnus Chase besides, like, series. We might see, like, a follow-up series that takes place, like, that's sort of focused on a different character, sort of as we've seen with the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles.
What about, are we going to see anything else? Because he has done 2 trilogies, kind of the Kane Chronicles as well as Magnus Chase. The Kane Chronicles died down quite a bit faster than I would have liked.
Well, it wasn't the fact that the Kane Chronicles died down. It just he wrapped up the series in 3 books. It was a trilogy.
I think I definitely could have seen more of the characters as we had with Magnus Chase, where kind of we had some Percy Jackson and Annabeth Chase moments. I feel like there have been some short stories, such as the Staff of Serapis and like the Crocodile God, in which we've seen kind of a Kane Chronicles and Percy Jackson overlap, but I would like to see either more Magnus Chase or more Kane Chronicles.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a lot more of either of those. I think, okay, so as you mentioned, Uncle Rick is getting pretty old. I don't know if he's actually going to write any more books or if he's just going to let his income flow through Rick Riordan Presents and cover other mythologies through other authors as of like Rick Riordan Presents. Not to say that they're his ideas that they're writing. Obviously, they're his own author's idea, but basically have the scope of the universe, have those other mythologies. Because Rick Riordan has been asked how he would feel to cover Chinese mythology, and he says he would rather not because he feels that he's not as educated in the culture and he would prefer someone really educated in that culture to do it. And that's why he sort of started Rick Riordan Presents, so people can tell their own culture stories, and that he doesn't have to write about something he doesn't feel he completely understands. So I don't think we're going to see like a huge amount of like trilogy or a series coming up. So I feel that after Trials of Apollo wraps up,
Irish mythology maybe.
Irish.
I don't know. It could all happen.
Yes, we're gonna see a series focusing entirely on the adventure. Leprechauns. I would love that series so much.
I'd like to see more, but I don't really think it'll happen.
Yeah, I think after Charles and Paul Book 5, it's just Rick Riordan Presents that we're gonna get. Maybe a side book then and there as the likes of the Demigod Diaries, but other than that, I think we're probably so yeah, I'm pretty sure we're done with books from Rick Riordan, and after Trials of Apollo Book 5, it's just pretty much gonna be Rick Riordan Presents as far as I can see.
All right.
And that's it for this episode of the Half-Blood Report. Diego, where can I find this podcast?
You can contact us with compliments, questions, or corrections at thehalfbloodreport@gmail.com.
That said, it's time for our credits. Our theme music is Smells Like Summer from Audio Library. Our recording equipment is on loan from William Bachman.
My co-host here is Samuel, and I'm Diego.
This is the Half-Blood Report, the only HBR that matters. Survive till next week.